We've all heard the basic stereotypes of two of the high schools in Columbia. At first glance, Hickman and Rockbridge would appear the same. Students from the same towns, athletes from the same teams, resources from the same city. But our investigation reveals a different story. The addition of Battle High School is sparking community chatter about which school is best. This is creating even greater tension between the two schools. But is there any truth to the rumors and stereotypes? Is there truly a superior school? CPS 360 set out to investigate. We'll be reporting on everything from academics to athletics. But first, a little history. Here's Paula Herrera with the facts.
100,000 residents, 18,000 students, 61 square miles, 33 public schools, 2 major high schools, 1 divided community. In the mid-1920s, Columbia High School was becoming too small for the thriving community. This led to the opening of David H. Hickman High School in 1927. Hickman has been ranked one of the most outstanding schools in America with 18 presidential scholars and 22 state championships, and an exceptional art program. It's no surprise that Keepy spirit runs deep.
We have such a diverse culture that I think it really offers the benefits of real life. So we embrace our diversity here. It's an academically focused school with a rich tradition and history.
I bleed purple and gold after all these years.
There are people that know what Hickman really is, and then there's that negative connotation that everyone uses, like, it's an inner city school. Come on, it's not an inner city school. I mean, we have education that's great. We have a community at Hickman that's awesome. We have got clubs, we've got sports. It's not what people think it is.
The real question is, where did this recent perception of Hickman come from? Some attribute it to the media coverage of a 2008 fight that made national headlines.
Negativity sells. People are interested in it. So you see the negative things on the news. And a lot of times it overshadows the really positive things that our students do.
Hickman may not be as safe a school or as good a school, which I don't feel is true at all. When I hear those things, I just kind of scoff because I know what's going on at the other schools, and it's not that much different, actually.
Columbia had again expanded and was too big for just one high school. In 1973, the Columbia Public School District welcomed Rockbridge Senior High.
At the time, we all joked about that if you couldn't make it at Hickman, you went to Rockbridge.
But times have changed. Rockbridge is now rated an outstanding school in America with 1 presidential scholar, not to mention 6 state championships this year alone, and a culture that works.
Rockbridge has always been about student empowerment.
Really believe and practice, along with saying yes to kids, is freedom with responsibility. We want our students to learn to manage their time. We put full trust in our teachers to take risk, encourage them to design lessons for their students to take risk, and always be as innovative as possible and try out new things.
The quality of a school is often defined by the academic success of its students. Here's Brianna Thompson with each school's report card.
Columbia Public Schools has a great reputation in academics. They are a gold medal district, have 19 presidential scholars, and score above average in state attendance and graduation rates. While as a whole, Columbia Public Schools is academically sound, some people believe between 2 of Columbia's senior high schools, Hickman and Rockbridge, are not equal academically.
People have this idea that it's more of an inner city school, which I find to be a little bit ridiculous in that, yes, we have a diverse culture, but I think they sometimes associate that with a negative thing, and I see it as a strength. We have such a rich history of academic excellence, and I can't see where anyone would call that into question.
Because inner city schools, there are a lot of things that go along with that, like poor achievement and poor attendance and lots of challenges. Hickman is centrally located in the city, but it definitely is not an inner city school.
Hickman has 18 presidential scholars, notable alumni, and 20 AP classes, but does that make Hickman superior? Rockbridge has been awarded the honor of being named a silver medal school, putting it in the top 3% of high schools in the nation, and offers 18 AP classes. But does that make Rockbridge superior?
It seems that the perception in the media is that Rockbridge is more affluent and has a higher achievement, and Hickman's less affluent and has lower achievement.
But perception isn't reality, and reality is that students can achieve at both Hickman and Rockbridge. The end-of-course exams from 2010-2011 school year display that overall, Rockbridge scored better than Hickman in biology, English, and Algebra 1, along with the ACT. While the average ACT score from both Hickman and Rockbridge was 24, 61% of Rockbridge students scored above the national average, compared to 44% of Hickman students scoring above average.
But if you take the kids that are coming from stable homes with income, it doesn't matter which school they're in, they're scoring about the same. So the school itself doesn't harm a child that has good social structures and parents give value education.
Research suggests that the number one indicator of student success is not school performance, but parent involvement. Hickman and Rockbridge both have many advanced placement class offerings, college scholarships, and prepare students academically for their future. From CPS 360, I'm Brianna Thompson.
Overall, Columbia Public Schools has great academic records, but when it comes to athletics, Rockbridge currently has the edge. Madison May has the stats.
Clearly, the perception of the two schools is very different. That's even the case with athletics.
We have better facilities, therefore we can train or become better at the sports that we play, or we just have better people in general. Maybe it's because of the south side to north side ratio of people that live.
In reality, Hickman and Rockbridge's student population is nearly the same. But maybe it's not the number of students we should be examining, but the students that make up those numbers. Names like Kenny James, Jordan Stevens, and TJ Smith have highlighted Rockbridge's sports this year. But all three of these athletes, as well as many others, came from Hickman.
He can play defense. He can do anything. And, you know, he's what we call a game changer. I have no problem saying that.
The question we want answered is, why are students transferring?
I'll go back to relationships and quality of programs, and I'm not saying that Hickman's are any different. But there is a perception that there's something going on out here and people want to be a part of it.
The community perception has started to create a reality.
Girls golf state champion in the back. We have girls tennis state champion in the back, and we've also added boys cross country. That is 4 state championships in the fall.
So the demographics, it really doesn't make a whole lot of difference. The students that are here are the students that are going to be our athletes.
Rockbridge has a district advantage as their students come from a more affluent area. Their athletes get additional coaching and team play during the off-season.
In Columbia, we have those kinds of options. Even though we have kids who are on these teams that are out of St. Louis and Kansas City, any kid who wants to do that has to have, their family has to have some resources in order to travel for practice and travel for games. And I mean, there's some money that goes into that.
Although Rockbridge is in a time of success right now, this wasn't always the case.
For many, many years, well before you guys were anywhere around, we were that school that families were moving the other direction in order to get that experience at Hickman.
Rockbridge has had the success now that Hickman had, 7-10 years ago. They're having a lot of success like we did then. A lot of the community has forgotten that because people deal with winners, and right now they've had their hand.
It is starting to sound like Rockbridge's current success is nothing more than a power shift between schools.
Again, I think success breeds success. I think there's a little bit of, well, they're doing it, we want to do it too, as far as the athletes are going.
You forget, you think it comes naturally just because you are. So we've got to redefine what it means to play like a CUPE, what it means to be a CUPE, and what hard work is. And we've got to find our pride again. And be proud of who we are no matter what.
As for the community's perception of the two schools, for now, Coach Monroe believes it will be hard to change, and the media isn't helping.
I think that anything negative that they can attribute to Hickman is highlighted, while anything positive is not news. And a little bit of that is Hickman's fault. We've got to go out and celebrate our scholars. We've got to go out and celebrate the fact that our kids are going to the major universities in the country. This year we actually had, some decent signings football-wise. Our kids and where they signed matched up exactly where the Rockbridge kids signed, and they just had more. But the slant in the paper was a little different. But we've got to stop worrying about that and just get back to the business of being good CUPEs.
Hickman and Rockbridge have plenty of success to go around, but they say it's not if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And in a town this divided, who really wins? For CPS 360, I'm Madison Nick.
Students that play sports are jocks. Students who play instruments are band geeks. Students who get good grades are nerds. Stereotypes, the root of all evils. Here's Maddie Lyons with the judgment call.
It's no wonder that different schools in the same community end up in competition with each other.
As long as it's healthy, there's nothing wrong with the rivalry. It pushes each school to be better. I mean, that's what you want ultimately.
In the past few years, though, this friendly rivalry has turned into something negative, and the media loves to capitalize on that.
You know, when you're in a town with more journalists per square inch than any city in the world, they've got to find stories. And so anytime something negative happens, man, they are on it. And they blow it up. They lead the news, it becomes print, and then nowadays with the individual blogs afterwards where anybody can anonymously comment about things after a story, and then it just explodes.
It just seems like that one high school gets more attention when there's a negative event than the other from the media. Some of that's there's a proximity. One high school has a news station right across the street from it. Something happens or someone over there with a camera, and I notice they always show that high school as the B-roll in anything. And he's like, come on, you got to give us a little break here.
Sometimes the media and our community tend to blow things out of proportion.
Students' opinions fuel a fire of stereotypes given to each school.
I've heard that lots of bottled blondes, lots of blonde girls and fake tans, and judgmental. I hear it's a very claustrophobic place. Like, it's hard to really be yourself and breathe there if you don't fit into a certain group.
I believed the stereotypes that people were talking about Hickman, like, oh, you're gonna get shot, there's so much drugs, you're gonna do drugs. And now being at Hickman, it's really hard for me to be friends with a lot of the people that I was friends with, because when I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, how's Hickman, doesn't that suck, oh, have you gotten shot?
It seems that the stereotypes are created to put distance between two schools that are actually quite similar.
Kids that are needing help and are asking for help, but in the wrong ways, whether it be use of prescription drugs, suicidal, cutting tendencies, just all sorts of behaviors that are just a way that they're acting out because of the lack of appropriate structure or support to work through those issues that are making them feel different.
One of our major problems would be from stealing from locker rooms, people's personal belongings. You'd be amazed every day. I have people come and saying their iPod's missing, their cell phone or wallet.
I mean, realistically, these are our friends. We get split up in 9th grade. If I would live a mile and a half south, this would be green and gold right now. It really comes down to what's more important, being the bigger high school, like and better at sports and academics, or the being a community and rallying around that.
For CPS 360, I'm Maddie Lyons.
Lately, the tension in the schools is transferring to the streets. MC Burns says Columbia Public Schools is stepping in to stop the violence.
When you look into Hickman and Rockbridge, you will find very similar qualities. Chatting students, a friendly atmosphere, and main comments filled with student life. But when asked about which school has more violence, students became quick to judge.
Definitely Hickman, probably because people at Rockbridge are just more friendlier and easygoing, and we all love each other.
There's probably the same amount of fights every single day here that there is at Rockbridge, and I don't ever feel that my safety is in danger.
This is the perception of Hickman. However, reality is much different.
We have issues that go on here, but like I was saying earlier, there's problems in every school you go into.
Though there are occurrences of violence within Columbia Public Schools, most of it is prompted by outside influences.
It is not a school-based issue. It really is a community issue. We can't look at our students and say, well, it's one school or it's another school. It really is a community-based issue.
Administrators are really trying to reach out to students. The best way they believe is through community-wide activities.
One of the things that will be coming up is the Stop the Violence event this weekend. And certainly members of the district administration and school buildings will be participating in that event. So that's one way to start the engagement, to start the conversations.
The Silence the Violence March began with a breakfast at the Downtown Armory. Registered participants were able to purchase a t-shirt displaying the message.
Well, we've had a lot of deaths in the community with teenagers that have been gunned down, so it's just a march to stop the violence in the community.
The march began at the courthouse and went through local neighborhoods and down Providence Road. It ended at Douglas High School, where participants attended violence awareness workshops. Violence is not just happening at one school, it's a community issue, one that Columbia Public Schools is working hard to stop. For CPS 360, I'm MC Burns.
My initial motive when producing the show was to prove that Hickman wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. But after interviewing and spending time at Rockbridge, I learned something. I learned that not only do students, the community, and outsiders have misconceptions about Hickman, but of Rockbridge as well. After spending just a little time at the crosstown rival, even I could see myself going to school there. Once a CUPE, always a CUPE. And for me, that will never change. But I can now see we're all part of a great school district. By working together, we can make Rockbridge, Hickman, and even Battle the best in the state.